Imagine walking into a place of business, a place where you expect service, respect, and equality, only to be met with prejudice. How would that feel? Would your heart pound with anger, or would a cold shock wash over you? This isn't just a hypothetical. It's a reality far too many still face, and it was a reality that an unsuspecting CEO was about to experience firsthand in a place she herself had built. But what happens when the person experiencing such prejudice holds the power to change things? Our story begins not in a boardroom, but in the polished, tranquil setting of a nail salon, a place meant for relaxation and beauty. Yet, beneath the surface, a different kind of reality was brewing. Meet Evelyn Reed. In her early 50s, with a graceful composure that belied a formidable business acumen, Evelyn was the visionary behind Radiant Nails, a thriving chain of salons that spanned the United States. She'd built her empire on the principles of quality service, innovation, and, above all, inclusivity. For Evelyn, Radiant Nails wasn't just about beauty treatments. It was about creating spaces where everyone felt welcome, celebrated, and valued. Despite her immense success, Evelyn was acutely aware of the subtle and not so subtle forms of discrimination that still existed in the world. She carried the weight of her own experiences and the stories of countless others. So, when whispers began to reach her about a manager at one of her flagship salons, the busy downtown Atlanta location, allegedly exhibiting discriminatory behavior against black customers, a deep unease settled in her heart. The rumors were vague at first, then more specific. Long wait times for black patrons despite open chairs, hurried and less attentive service, and an overall coldness that seemed to be reserved for a particular demographic. Evelyn prided herself on the diverse team she had built and the inclusive atmosphere she strived to maintain. These rumors were a direct affront to everything she believed in and every value Radiant Nails stood for. Are these just isolated incidents? Or is there a systemic issue? She wondered aloud to her assistant, Maria, during a morning call. Maria, ever loyal and perceptive, simply replied, "Ms. Reed, the complaints have been consistent from that location. It's more than just a bad day for a few clients." Evelyn's initial concern morphed into a determined resolve. She could have sent in regional managers, conducted anonymous surveys, or even installed hidden cameras. But that wasn't Evelyn's style. She needed to see it, to feel it, to understand the truth herself. She wanted to know if her vision, her unwavering commitment to equality, was truly being upheld in every corner of her empire. "Maria," Evelyn said, her voice calm but firm, "cancel my afternoon meetings. Book me an appointment at the Atlanta downtown salon. Use a different name, something common, and make sure it's for a simple manicure. No fuss." A few hours later, Evelyn found herself driving towards the very salon that bore her company's name, a place that should have been a source of pride, but was now a source of gnawing worry. Dressed in a simple pantsuit, her hair pulled back into a no-nonsense bun, and without her usual designer accessories, she looked like any other woman seeking a moment of pampering. There was a mix of apprehension and a steely conviction in her as she parked her car. The weight of responsibility she felt for her brand and for her community was palpable. She knew this wasn't just about business. It was about dignity. Little did Ms. Reed know, her routine visit was about to unveil a harsh truth that would shake her to the core. Imagine the silence when prejudice speaks louder than any welcome. Evelyn pushed open the glass door of the Radiant Nail Salon, the faint scent of nail polish and lavender filling the air. The salon was bustling, filled with the low hum of conversation and the gentle whir of nail drills. At the front desk stood a woman in her late 40s, with tightly pulled-back blonde hair and a professional, if somewhat distant smile. This was Brenda, the manager Evelyn had heard so much about. "Welcome to Radiant Nails," Brenda said, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. "Do you have an appointment?" "Yes, under the name Evelyn Jones," Evelyn replied, making sure to use the alias Maria had booked. Brenda scanned her computer screen, then looked up, her gaze lingering on Evelyn for a moment longer than necessary. Ah, yes. Evelyn Jones. It seems we're a bit behind today. Please have a seat. Someone will be with you shortly. Evelyn nodded, taking a seat in the waiting area. Several other customers, predominantly white, came and went, being called back by technicians within minutes of their arrival. Evelyn watched, patiently at first, then with a growing sense of unease. 20 minutes passed, then 30. Still, no one called her name. Technicians occasionally glanced in her direction, but always looked away when Brenda walked by. Finally, Evelyn approached the counter again. "Excuse me, Brenda," she began, using the manager's name. "I've been waiting for a while. Is there an update on my appointment?" Brenda sighed, a faint impatience coloring her voice. "Look, Ms. Jones, we're just swamped. It's a busy Saturday. We're doing our best." She gestured vaguely at the salon. "Maybe you could try another day, or perhaps come back later." Evelyn's heart began to pound. The vague excuses, the dismissive tone. It was exactly what the complaints had described. She saw an open station, a technician looking idle, but Brenda made no move to direct anyone her way. The sting of rejection, the unfairness of it all, was a profound blow. Here, in her own salon, she was being refused service. "I understand it's busy," Evelyn said, her voice remarkably calm despite the anger simmering beneath. "But I had an appointment, and it seems others who arrived after me have been served." Brenda's patience visibly thinned. "Look, I've told you we're busy. If you're not willing to wait, then perhaps this isn't the right place for you. We can't accommodate everyone immediately." She turned away, clearly signaling the conversation was over. The anger inside Evelyn, a deep, burning anger born of humiliation and betrayal, finally reached its peak. Her patience evaporated. She couldn't tolerate this blatant racism, not in a business that carried her name, her values, her dream. She took a deep breath, her eyes fixed on Brenda. "You know," Evelyn said, her voice now carrying a different weight, a power that made Brenda turn back around, a faint flicker of recognition in her eyes. "It's interesting. I built this company on the principle that everyone, regardless of their background, deserves respect and excellent service." Brenda frowned, confusion replacing her dismissiveness. "I don't know what you're talking about, ma'am." Evelyn reached into her handbag and pulled out her official Radiant Nails corporate ID badge, holding it up for Brenda to see. The laminated card, with her photo and the title CEO and founder, seemed to gleam under the salon lights. "My name isn't Evelyn Jones," she said, her voice clear and resonant, cutting through the salon's ambient noise. "My name is Evelyn Reed, and this is my company." The air crackled with the weight of her words, transforming the salon from a place of business into an arena of accountability. Brenda's face drained of color, her eyes wide with shock and fear. The silence that followed was deafening. Power isn't just about what you control, but how you use it to uplift others. In the immediate aftermath of the revelation, the salon felt as though it had stopped breathing. All eyes were on Evelyn Reed, the woman they had just seen dismissed, now revealed as the ultimate authority. Evelyn, though filled with a profound sense of disappointment, displayed a powerful blend of authority and calm resolve. She stepped forward, her gaze unwavering as it met Brenda's stunned eyes. "Brenda," she began, her voice firm but devoid of theatrical rage, "what I just experienced here is unacceptable. It's a direct violation of everything Radiant Nails stands for. We do not, and will not, tolerate discrimination of any kind." Brenda stammered, "Ms. Reed, I didn't know. It was a misunderstanding, a busy day." Evelyn held up a hand, cutting her off. "There is no misunderstanding, Brenda. I witnessed your behavior. I felt it. This isn't just about my personal experience today. It's about the countless other customers whose experiences you have undoubtedly shaped with your prejudice. This is a failure of leadership, and it's a failure of humanity." Then, with a decisive tone that left no room for doubt, Evelyn continued, "Effective immediately, your employment with Radiant Nails is terminated. We have a zero-tolerance policy for discrimination, and you have demonstrated a clear inability to uphold that policy." Brenda visibly crumpled, her face etched with shock and a dawning realization of the consequences of her actions. Evelyn didn't linger on her. Her attention shifted to the other employees, who stood frozen, watching the dramatic scene unfold. They looked a mixture of nervous, relieved, and perhaps a little ashamed. "To all of you," Evelyn announced, her voice carrying through the hushed salon, Radiant Nails was founded on the principle of beauty for everyone. This isn't just a marketing slogan. It's the core of our identity. Every person who walks through these doors, regardless of their skin color, their background, or anything else, deserves to be treated with dignity, respect, and the highest level of service. She looked around, making eye contact with as many employees as she could. What happened here today, what I experienced here today, will not be repeated. We will be implementing mandatory, comprehensive diversity and inclusion training for every single employee across all our locations, starting here. This isn't a suggestion, it's a requirement. We are a family at Radiant Nails, and like any family, we must support and respect each other and all who seek our service. If you cannot uphold these values, if you cannot treat every customer and every colleague with absolute equality, then this is not the place for you. We thrive on diversity, and we will champion it fiercely. Her words weren't accusatory, but they were resolute. They were a clear, unwavering statement of the company's non-negotiable values. True leadership, Evelyn knew, meant taking a stand against injustice, even when it was uncomfortable, especially when it was uncomfortable. She wanted to send a message, not just to this salon, but to every Radiant Nails employee. Equality wasn't just a policy, it was the foundation. The ripples of Ms. Reed's decisive action extended far beyond that single salon, echoing a universal truth about the power of standing up for what's right. Our actions, big or small, define the world we create. Evelyn Reed left the Atlanta salon that day with a mix of emotions. There was the sting of personal experience, certainly, but also a quiet satisfaction and renewed purpose. She had taken a stand. She had upheld her values, not just in words, but in decisive action. The news of the manager's swift termination spread through the company, accompanied by the announcement of enhanced diversity training. It was a clear, unambiguous message. Prejudice had no place in Radiant Nails. This story of Evelyn Reed isn't just about a CEO firing a discriminatory employee. It's about the persistent reality of racial bias, even in seemingly ordinary places. It's about the courage it takes to confront injustice and the power of leadership to enact meaningful change. Evelyn's story reminds us that while progress has been made, the fight for true equality is ongoing and requires constant vigilance. But it's also a story of hope. It shows us that when individuals with power choose to use it for good, when they embody the very values they preach, positive change is not only possible, but inevitable. It reinforces the idea that every single one of us has a role to play in fostering a more inclusive world. Whether we are a CEO, an employee, or a customer, our actions, our words, and our choices contribute to the fabric of our society. So, as you go about your day, consider this. What small step can you take today to champion equality? It could be speaking up against a casual, discriminatory remark, choosing to support businesses that genuinely practice inclusivity, or simply ensuring that in your own interactions, you treat everyone with the inherent dignity and respect they deserve. True change often begins with one person's courage to challenge the status quo, and it flourishes when we all commit to building a world where everyone is truly seen, valued, and respected. If this story resonated with you, and you believe in a world where everyone is treated with dignity and respect, hit that like button, share this video with someone who needs to hear this message, and subscribe for more stories that inspire change. Let's continue this conversation and build a more inclusive future, one act of kindness and fairness at a time.